Melbourne's population could soon boom to the same size as New York City's. More than 9 million people are set to call Melbourne home by 2050.
Here's everybody. I just popped out of work for a minute here in Melbourne City, and I wanted to play a game with you. It's called Spot the Westerner. Let's see if you can find any.
Or not is the queue for an apartment viewing in Sydney over the weekend. $800 a week for a 2-bedroom apartment in Bondi Beach. No garage and no parking and meal.
They want you to believe the problem is complicated, that you need a degree in economics or a PhD in sociology to understand why rent is up, why queues are longer, why your city feels different. It's not complicated. More people than homes, that's it. That's the whole equation. They teach it in Year 9 economics. But here's what they don't teach you. When you state that simple, obvious fact, watch what happens. They don't argue the numbers. They can't. So they attack you. Divisive, extreme, racist. You ask where people are supposed to live. They call you a bad person. That's not a debate. That's a shutdown. And it's the oldest manipulation tactic in the book. Don't fix the problem. Destroy the person who noticed it. They imported the queue. You're standing in it. And somehow you're the villain for asking, where's everyone supposed to sleep? Welcome to another episode of The Thomas Cut. Let me tell you what's actually happening. Not what they tell you on the news. Not what the university vice chancellor says from his third investment property. More people arrived than homes were built. End of story. Everything else is decoration. Rent rose because demand outraced supply. That's not evil landlords, though some exist. That's just economics. The evil part, they knew it was coming. Every forecast predicted it and they did nothing. Your parents bought a house on one income, one. Now 2 incomes can't guarantee you get chosen from 100 applicants. And the advice from the comfortable class? Budget better. Move further out. Get a side hustle. Budget what? Move where? To a town with no jobs? Work a third job while the vice chancellor banks in his $1.5 million? I'm going to run through some clips just so you guys can get an understanding on how bad things are going right now and where society is leading if we don't do something about it. So yeah, check these clips out. Look at this clip. Check this out.
Not is the queue for an apartment viewing in Sydney over the weekend. $800 a week for a 2-bedroom apartment in Bondi Beach.
This is what we're
no
doing
garage and no parking and meals. The line keeps going.
An airport or a nightclub. It's crazy.
And if you don't have a dedicated parking space in Bondi, you are not parking your car. So
the line is
cool.
Can you believe these people are down
and someone's
back
joining it.
Look at this Bondi, $800, 2 bedrooms, no car park, 100 people at least. That's not a rental inspection. That's an audition for basic dignity. Working adults probably employed, probably with references, standing in line like they're begging to be allowed indoors. And a politician somewhere just said, everything's under control. If this is control, I hate to see surrender. Now I'm going to show you another clip and I want you to listen to this. All right, check this out. This is the other clip I was talking about with the Sydney girl talking about rejection and trying to find a place.
I'm so fucking over it. I literally feel like crying. I'm so exhausted. I'm so sick of applying for houses in Sydney and not hearing back and then getting a fucking rejection. Like again and again and again, and getting my hopes up and getting rejected
again. This is nuts. And you can literally feel the frustration
market
and the sadness coming
we are
through.
In a couple,
it's just
we earn
people
enough.
paying overs.
We're
I just
looking
don't
for a
get
tiny 1-bedroom. We just want a separate bedroom to the fucking kitchen. We can't get it, and people are.
And like, what's actually getting done about it? I don't even know what's actually getting done about it.
Stop taking it from the people who can't afford to pay $750.
Now listen to this girl. She's tired. Her and her partner both working cannot secure a rental. Every time they apply, someone outbids them. People paying overs just to have a roof. I just can't. This is the part they don't show you on the glossy Welcome to Australia ads. 2 incomes, Decent jobs still losing. Not because they're lazy, not because they're bad applicants, because the game has changed. The rules have been rewritten while they were playing by the old ones. When people start paying above the asking rent just to compete, that's not a market, that's an auction. And auctions don't favor the working couple. They favor the person with the biggest wallet, often an investor, often someone who doesn't live there. So let me ask you, if two working Australians can't secure a basic rental, whose economy are we building? Here's the truth they hide. Growth is not automatically good. Not when your rent explodes, not when your kids can't move out, not when your suburb becomes more crowded, more expensive, less familiar. That's not progress. That's decline in a nice suit. And those queues, those rejections, those outbids, they're not an accident. They're by design. Now let's talk about the mechanism, how they keep you quiet. Ask one question: where are people supposed to live? They won't answer, they'll pivot. Why do you hate migrants? Diversity is our strength. Australia is multicultural. None of those answer housing. They're deflections, and they work because suddenly you're apologizing. You're not talking about rent, you're defending your character. Now, that's the trick. Turn a math problem into a morality test. Imagine a nightclub, it's at capacity. The bouncer keeps opening the door. Soon everyone's crushed against the wall. Who's to blame? The person who just walked in or the bouncer who ignored the limit? Blind Freddy would tell you the bouncer every time, the management, the system. But when it's a country, suddenly you're not allowed to blame management. Suddenly you're the problem for noticing the crush. Stop being divisive, they'll say. And divisive, that's the word they use when you state a fact they can't argue with. You know what's actually divisive? Importing pressure into a system that's already cracking. Then calling the people who point out the cracks extremists. That's not divisive, that's accountability. And they're terrified of it. A serious country plans capacity before pressure arrives. An incompetent country adds pressure, then calls the explosion unexpected. Nothing unexpected here. More demand than supply, higher prices. That's not ideology, that's reality. And reality doesn't care about your feelings. Now, the question that changes everything. If ordinary people are losing, renters, young families, workers, someone else is winning. The system doesn't hurt the powerful, it hurts you. So let's name the winners. University, international students pay 2 to 3 times what locals pay. That's not education, that's an import business with lecture halls. The vice chancellor on 1.5 million, he's not worried about your rent. Business, more workers equals less pressure to raise wages. Your boss loves it. He doesn't have to compete for you. Landlords, more renters, higher rents. Simple. Government, more people, more GDP, more tax. They announce a growing economy or you fall behind. So when they say migration is good for the economy, ask, whose economy? The landlord's economy and the renter's economy are not the same. The university and the graduates are not the same. They show you national growth, your life gets smaller. Let me say that again. Your life gets smaller. Not the economy, not GDP, you. The people who benefit, not evil, just rational. More people equals more money for them. So they push for more people, then call you hateful for asking questions. But they never say, we benefit, you pay. They say, this is good for everyone. They say, diversity is our strength. They say, anyone who questions this is a bigot. That's not honesty, that's self-interest, wearing a halo. Calling you racist is cheaper than building houses. Calling you divisive is cheaper than fixing infrastructure. Calling you backwards is cheaper than admitting the country is being mismanaged. Chaos is not an accident. Chaos is profitable for the people who don't have to live in it. Now the conversation they really don't want you to have. I'll say it calmly because it's common sense. If I move to Dubai, I follow Dubai's rules. I don't demand they change for me. I adapt because I'm the guest. That's respect. If I move to Japan, I learn Japanese customs. No shoes in houses, bow when appropriate. Why? Because I chose to go there. So why is Australia different? Why must the host culture always bend? When did tolerance become one way? Bring your food, your music, your ambitions. That's beautiful. That's what makes a country vibrant. But don't bring values that hate the host country. Don't dump overseas tribal conflicts on Australian streets. Don't take opportunity and then sneer at the culture that gave it to you. That's not multiculturalism. That's disrespect with a passport. Now I'm going to show you something and don't get angry. Just observe.
Here's everybody.
Now
I
this
just
is
popped
of
out
someone
work
named
from
Bianca
Sydney
Colecchia. She works
and,
for
I
the
want
One
to play a
Nation
game
Party
with
here
you.
in Australia.
It's called Spot the Westerner. So let's see if you can find.
She's walking through the streets of Melbourne at night. Check this out. This is very, very important. Like, check this out. This is Bianca Colecchia. She works for One Nation. You may disagree with her politics, but she's documenting something real. She's walking through Melbourne at night, and the title of her video is Spot the Westerner. Now, I'm not telling you what to think. I'm asking, when you look at that frame, what do you notice? Because that question, whether you like it or not, is being asked quietly by more and more Australians. Now, I'm going to show you another video, a video of New Year's Eve here in Melbourne, and I want you to have a look at this one. Now, this is New Year's Eve. Another crowd. I'm not saying anything hateful. I'm asking a legitimate question that every other country allows. How much change can a city absorb before the people who grew up there stop recognizing it? Japan asks it. Dubai lives it. Poland enforces it. Only the West has been trained to treat the question as offensive. Integration is not oppression. Integration is respect. A country that bends for everyone eventually breaks for its own people. And notice the loudest anger at this conversation never comes from the migrants themselves. It comes from the comfortable class, university professors, journalists, people in nice suburbs who lecture you about tolerance while living nowhere near the pressure. It's funny how that works. Back to where we started though, capacity. This failed on every level: housing, infrastructure, social trust, public safety. Building approvals are not boring paperwork. They are tomorrow's rental supply. No approvals, no home. Simple. So if the government knew people were coming, they had the forecast. Why not approvals? Because approvals are hard. Cancels, environmental laws, neighbours' objections, construction costs. Importing people is just easy. Just change a number. They took the easy path and you're paying for it. Now something uncomfortable. I won't pretend it doesn't exist. But I want you to check out this next video, have a look at it, and just, yeah, I know it's uncomfortable, but just have a look at it. Okay, here with this next video, I just want you, it can be a little bit confronting, but I just want you to see it and then we can have a discussion about it. This is in Melbourne at High Point Shopping Centre. As you can see, the machete bins are working quite well. I'll replay that video again, just so you can have a look at it. You can see here the machete bin right there. It's working quite well, 2 police officers. Yeah, it's crazy. High Point, a teenager on the ground, 2 undercover cops and a machete on the floor. And I won't describe the teenager's appearance. You can see it. I'm not saying every person from that background is a criminal. That's a lie, and I won't say it. But here are Victoria's numbers. 638,000 offences last year, up 15%. Police say 0.078% of that population committed 40% of all crime. Now do the math. Do the math on who that 0.078% is. I'm not saying every migrant is a criminal. Most work hard and contribute. But if you import hundreds of thousands of people and don't grow police, courts, deportation, you'll get a crime spike. That's not racism. That's cause and effect. My position is simple. You come here peacefully, work hard, respect the law, welcome. You commit serious crime, you get removed. A country that won't deport non-citizen criminals, especially those carrying machetes in shopping centers, doesn't have a crime problem. It has a spine problem. Now, here's how all of it connects. A country doesn't collapse in a day. It weakens one policy at a time. One excuse, one compromise, one generation told to accept less. First, housing becomes unaffordable. $800 for an apartment in Bondi. A week for a 2-bedroom with no car park. Then they'll tell you to work harder. So you do. You still get outbidded. Then they overcrowd the system and call it growth. Then your suburb changes and they call it diversity. Then crime rises and they call it disadvantage. Then you finally ask, what's happening? And they call you a racist. That's the pattern. Same in Australia, Canada, the UK, and the West. Same script, same accusations, same result. They want you fighting sideways, Australia against migrant, left against right, young against old. So you never look upward, never ask who benefits, never asks why the same people get richer or you get priced out, pushed aside, and told to be quiet. This is not about hate, it's about control. A country needs borders, housing, standards, law, integration, identity. Without those, you don't have a nation, you have a marketplace. And that's what Australia is becoming. Everything is for sale and nothing is protected. Renters are not protected, families are not protected, culture is definitely not protected, the future is not protected. So wake up. Migration without capacity is not compassion, it's pressure. Growth without livability is not success, it's decline with better marketing. Multiculturalism without integration is not unity, it's fragmentation. A country that bends for everyone eventually breaks for its own people. Australia doesn't need slogans, it needs backbone, housing before headlines, standards before excuses, integration before celebration, capacity before pressure. Because if you keep importing pressure into a system that's already cracking, don't act surprised when the country starts breaking. That's the conversation that I want you having. But we're having it right now, every episode. If you're tired of standing in queues while the comfortable class call you hateful for noticing it, hit subscribe. I'm Thomas, and this is the Thomas Cut. I'll see you on the next one.